The following programming is sponsored by Tom Toole III. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Good afternoon, Greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacey Mitchell. We've got Gabe behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. Stacey always emphasizes the number one, which I appreciate. And we are streaming live every week on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just Google Tom Toole Sales Group. So, post-Labor Day real estate market is here. This is typically a time of year we see a lot of things kind of ramp up. People are done going down the shore. Kids are back in school, and by no coincidence here, we've got a lot to talk about around real estate. A lot of people usually come out with some things around this time of year. It seems like that summer vacation just came to a halt yesterday, which I'm all for from a business perspective, and people are back in the office rocking and rolling, although we've been doing that all summer long.
All summer.
So, on that note, there was some news that came out, and I really want to get your take on this, Stacey, because I find this to be it's you got to be careful with these types of national studies that get released because the markets are so different everywhere. So Redfin came out with some data, and we do not have our local data yet. I actually reached out. Our data doesn't really drop until about the 15th of the month, the middle of the month in the greater Philadelphia area. According to Redfin, and this was an article on Inman News, the average U.S. home is now selling below its listing price. So this is the first time since March of 2021 that the list-to-sales price ratio for homes that sold in the month of August came in below 100%. So it's 17-month stretch of 100+% list-to-sales price ratio on average in the country. What do you think about all this? What does this mean? I mean, there's all kinds of talk about shifting markets and bubbles. What does this mean? Tell us about what this data actually means here, Stacey, because I guarantee you got clients you're going to have to answer this question for in the next couple of days.
Well, we have been seeing a shift in the market. I mean, that's clear. Things are starting to somewhat normalize, I guess. Although it's not at a rapid pace, it's a slow process here. I think in some areas you're going to find the shifting has accelerated more so than our area. We're kind of insulated somewhat in the Northeast here, which is wonderful. We're in a great location where a lot of people still want to move into. So we still are pretty busy. But I think what you're seeing is a compilation of the overall national numbers here. When I speak to other folks that are around the country, some of their markets have slowed considerably according to them. And this is going to continue because the market's going to continue to normalize. But in our area, because real estate is local, what I do know is that, summer, I would say probably 3 weeks in August were a little bit more slow. Although personally, I've been still writing offers, multiple offer situations. I am seeing opportunity, though, where you can find houses that have been on the market for a couple of weeks, possibly a week or two. That's where the opportunity is to come in below your asking price, to negotiate, to actually get your inspections, have contingencies, come in with contingencies. I don't know about a seller assist, but maybe. Hey, you never know. I think a couple of our colleagues have had that.
Yep.
So, I agree somewhat that, that these homes are selling below on an average nationally. But in our area, I don't think it's as prevalent.
So that's really well said. And you look at the markets that are around. I mean, we happen to be in a very large metro market versus some other places across the country. We're the fifth or sixth largest metro market, depending on how you calculate it. And the data here is national. And I do think there is relevance here that a couple months ago, the average was like 102%, 103% of the asking price. And what I know locally for our market, in the month of July, we still saw north of 100% in Montgomery, Chester, and Delaware counties. And in Philadelphia, we've seen it about 2 to 3 percentage points off the asking price. So even within our metro market, there still are some local intricacies depending on where you are. And A few months ago, that number was like 101, 102. So now we're seeing like 100.2% of the asking price. So really, it's not that, like, this is the thing. You see that, and what I get worried about for consumers is they're going to see this and think, oh, prices are going down.
Right.
It's not prices are going down. It's a couple of factors. One, there's less homes selling this year, period. There's just less homes transacting. There's nothing we can do about that. Demand is also still very frothy. It's not as frothy as it was 2020, 2021, 2022, which was very, at least the first half, until I would say June 30th. I know we've talked about this before. It wasn't sustainable to keep homes selling. Like, we're just going to bid this one up another 3%. We're going to bid this one, like 1% a month is not sustainable growth. What we're anticipating this year is year over year, it's going to be about 10.5% based on all the major predictors that are out there: Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the Mortgage Bankers Association, CoreLogic, Ivy Zelman, all those people. We have seen this trend downwards in our market to closer to 100%. So there is a local factor here, and I think you got to be very careful with that sort of stuff. And you know, I look at some of these quotes here from Redfin's chief economist, Daryl Fairweather, and the cool down appears to be tapering off. There are signs that there is more room for the market to ease, which I would say is probably accurate. Here's one thing I don't agree with. The post-Labor Day slowdown will likely be a little more intense this year than in previous years when the market was super tight. So, of course, over the past 2 years, yes, but typically what we see, it's not post-Labor Day in our market. It's an August slowdown followed by an increase in activity after people get back from that sort of vacation season. So I don't agree with that at all, and there's a lot of data to back that up. And the other thing that I think is important to note here, and I want to get your take on this as well, is the number of new listings. They've dropped for 2 months straight, and active listings nationally are 43.8% below historical averages before the pandemic, according to Realtor.com. So there's less homes available. And I would also say there's less homes sitting on the market. Now, you're talking about time on market increasing. You know, we look at last year, there's more homes that sold in 2021 than 2020. So it's not like there was less homes available. It's just there was more demand and more homes transacting then. Talk to me about inventory now, seeing that we're 43.8% below historical averages. What do you? How would you interpret that as an agent who has to communicate this to buyers and sellers?
Well, the inventory still remains historically low. So, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And I noticed the difference in inventory being less over the summer. And I think that's just because people are away on vacation. And, you know, sellers don't want to list their home if they know that a lot of the buyers are going to be refocused on other things. And they're going to wait until after Labor Day. You know, that's kind of like the cutoff for everything. Kids are back in school. And I get a question that, well, people don't want to buy, you know, they don't want to move when the kids are in school. They don't want to move, you know, before the holidays or around the holidays. But I don't really find that. There's people that have to transact. And I think that sellers are waiting until after this holiday, which was yesterday, to finish up, and they're going to go forward and list their home. So I do agree with the historical low numbers of listings. I have many, many clients that are waiting for more inventory and waiting for that house to come along. They're ready to transact. So there's so many people that I'm dealing with now that are ready to transact. It's just there's such low inventory. So I agree with that. I think that some buyers have been priced out of the market since the increase of the interest rates. So, and it's unfortunate for them, but there's still a lot of buyers who, and the interest rates are still relatively low.
Historically low.
Yeah, and doable. It's just that when you're comparing it to what it was, you know, high 2s and 3s and even in the 4s, people get jaded and they think that happens all the time and it should be all the time. No, it doesn't. It hasn't, and it doesn't. They will go up, but there's still a lot of buyers that are ready to transact. The millennials are still looking for their homes, and I think we're going to see that trend still over the next couple of years. It's just the inventory issue.
That's really well said, and the perspective on interest rates continues to be, you know, people are looking at where they were in January, and we've seen a 2.5 point increase in interest rates, a little north of that where we are today. They're coming in like 5 and 5/8, 5.75, somewhere around there, depending on who you're talking to. So to me, looking back on historical data, this is just what happens in August. And everyone's freaking out because they're used to, oh, the home didn't sell in 10 minutes. There's a problem. And this isn't, and our area, I do agree, is a little more insulated. If you look at there's some showing time data that just came out that July foot traffic saw a 16.8 year over year decline. Well, in the Northeast, it was only a 9.9% decline. So we're still seeing more people looking than the rest of the country versus like the South or the West. I mean, the West saw a 44% drop off year over year. That's dramatic. 9.9% is a lot different. It's more in line with the, it's even less than the average for July based on showing time. And if you don't know what showing time is, they actually they schedule all the showings. They have all the real data. So. To me, I think it's, every market's going to be a little more local, and you have to be careful with these national headlines. Right.
But as far as that prices of the housing going down, which I do get that question.
Yep.
I'm going to wait, or not a question, a statement. I'm going to wait for the prices to come down. That's where this kind of leads you to believe that they're selling below list price, which means prices are dropping. That's definitely not the case. Prices are not going to go backwards. The median home sale price in Chester County is what, like $480,000. It's between 460 and 480. We were just quoting this the other day, and I couldn't retain that in my mind, but it is. I mean, and that's tremendous. And I don't see the prices dropping though. They're not dropping.
I mean, we have a supply and demand issue right now, and this is what people aren't getting. This is like Econ 101, which I took. So I do remember this part, and it's you got low supply. You got high demand, prices are going to go up.
Right.
If supply rises to 6 months or more, which we're not even close to right now, Philadelphia's a little closer than where we are in the suburbs. So I mean, the city and the suburbs are two very different markets. It's just not gonna happen. So and to answer your question, Stacey, I just pulled up the Tri-County Board of Realtors statistics through the month of July. So the median sale price is $497,000, and that's up 10.3% from last year.
Wow.
So that's Chester County.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah, and I mean, and we're going to see similar numbers everywhere else. If you look at Delaware County, Delaware County is seeing a increase as well in the median sale price. It's up 6.9% from July of last year and 11.1% year over year. So the data is just absolutely clear. Prices are going up. Anyone that says otherwise is just making things up, or they're picking a narrative based on there's this problem with the housing market right now. The only challenge we have is that there's more buyers out there than homes available. It's that simple.
Yes.
In Montgomery County, we saw a 9.6% increase in the median sale price year over year. So, I mean, these are all very consistent numbers. And when you look at Philadelphia, which is a bit of a different market than the others, and look, it costs more money to live in Philadelphia with the city wage tax alone.
Correct.
They saw a 2.6% increase. So, I mean, Philadelphia is obviously the different market of the four there. And there's other costs of living involved. So there's no question prices are going up, and they're continuing to go up. To me, this is just, it's the same thing we've been talking about. This is a normalization of the housing market. This is what the housing market was like in 2019. This is what the housing market was like before the pandemic, because there's a lot of people that didn't list and are still a little hesitant, now don't know where they're going to go. And those are the issues that we're running into here. And the positive, to your point, is buyers can negotiate now. They can write an offer that's not at the asking. And now, this isn't every home, though, and I think it's important to mention that.
Right.
There's some homes that are still going to sell with multiple offers. I know we have a couple agents going through this right now on a property. A couple properties that there's multiple offers. There's like 3 or 4. They're all writing them up. They're going to bid. Now, the same thing is that there's a home we sold over the weekend that's been on the market about 75 days. They took $15,000 less than the asking price. It's priced in the low 4s. So you're looking at 3-4% in terms of what they got, which is still a normal list to sales price ratio in 2019, 96-97%. And there's inspections involved, and it's a very normal deal. So this is a normalization of the market. So what about sellers here? What should sellers be thinking right now? I mean, to me, this is just an opportunity for buyers, and buyers should not be quitting. I think we've belabored that point on the show here. What should sellers be thinking now? If you had a seller that was thinking about selling any time in the next 18 months, what advice would you be giving them?
Well, first we would look at all the comps and we'd be realistic about the shifting market. And I would definitely advise them to come in at I would ask them where they want their house to be priced at, and then we would talk from there. If it's a realistic price point, then that's I would be in agreement. But if it wasn't, if they were still trying to, or if they had these ideas that they could go well above where the market is, where the comps are, with the hopes of getting that number, I would probably advise them to rethink that methodology and come in where the comps are slightly below. You still want to create the competition, because then that's where you do get the waiving of the inspections if there's multiple offers. Some buyers are willing to relinquish those contingencies so that they can get the offer accepted. So I think it's, you have to just be upfront with your sellers. You have to be honest. You have to be frank about it. And hopefully they'll take your advice, because we're in the market all the time. We see what's happening. Some sellers, they might not. They might say, well, let's try it at X amount of dollars. And then at that point, I would have to say, well, we will monitor the showings, how many showings that we're getting pre-market before when it's in the coming soon phase. How many showings did agents schedule for buyers? And then after it goes live, how did we have an open house? How did the open house fare? Did people come through? If the numbers aren't where they should be, like if we're not getting that activity, I think it's very easy to present that information to the sellers and say, we have to do an adjustment. And hopefully they'll be on board with that. But I would just advise to come in around the comps, because that's where people are looking. That's where the buyers are going to. Well, this one sold, 3 months ago at this amount of money. This one sold. And depending on the condition of the home, I think that's very important. Some homes that are really move-in ready, turnkey, you can probably be a little bit more aggressive. I wouldn't say a lot aggressive. But others that need a little bit of work, we have to be realistic.
Well said. And I would take it one step further, that if you've been thinking about selling, the window of opportunity to really maximize on this market is closing quickly.
Yes.
And not that your home won't be worth more later, but you may not get that waived contingency offer. You may not get that thousands of dollars over the asking price offer. And I'd be, I wouldn't say this to a seller, but they need to be thinking about that they're gambling with their home's equity right now.
Yes.
The people that are trying to outthink the market, and we talked about this, I think it was last week, that anyone that tries to outthink the market usually loses. It never works out well when they try to time everything perfectly. And this is an absolute shifting market, where a few months ago, some of these homes that are having price adjustments and different things happen, it wasn't the case. And if I was a seller right now, and I had where I'm lined up to go and move to already set, because that's a big pain point for a lot of people.
Right.
If that's already set, I'd be putting my home on the market and accelerating that time frame. I would not be waiting until the spring when everyone else waits. That to me is a mistake. I would be looking to capitalize now, because there is still demand out there. Rates have stabilized a bit. They're in that like mid to high fives range, down from 6.25 a couple weeks ago. And I would be adamant about getting your home on the market sooner and finding an agent who's actually going to market it properly, because there is opportunity out there for those sellers. The ones that are going to wait and continue to try to outthink the market, they'll be fine. They'll make money on their home. I'm clear they're making a mistake if they're waiting too long right now.
I'm clear too. The competition is less right now for sellers. So the sooner your house is on the market, you're going to have more buyers' eyes on your home, and that's for sure. You don't want to go into spring like all the other sellers have a tendency to do. That's where you are going to find the most competition. So I definitely think as a seller, there's no time like the present. Just list the home. You want to be smart about it. And you definitely want to talk to a couple of agents.
Absolutely.
Find out their marketing plans. How are they going to properly market your home to get the most amount of buyers to your home? And that's what we do. So we do that. We have a great marketing plan, by the way. But that's what you want. You want to create the competition, because with that competition does come the multiple offers. But you also have to be straight up with your sellers also and say, hey, you might have to negotiate inspections. So there might be some contingencies here that we might have to go back to the negotiation table. If 3 offers come in, they all have inspections, that's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with. Not only that, appraisal contingencies. If there's, if the buyers aren't willing to assume any appraisal deficit, then there's a possibility that we're going to have to go back to the negotiation table and negotiate any appraisal deficit. So the sellers are going to have to be, they're going to have to be educated on all these possibilities of renegotiation, and so that they're not surprised. And so they're not upset. You have to set the expectations.
The best agents walk everyone through the process first. And if your agent's not doing that, or they're just adamant to get it on the market, then you might not have the right agent. And that's where you said interview a couple people. I am all for that, because this is a huge asset for a lot of folks, and you want to make sure whoever's handling it is going to handle it well. So before we break, post-Labor Day outlook. We made some predictions a couple weeks ago. I don't see anything really changing here from this data. Do you see any change, or does this look like there's going to be a lot of opportunity for buyers, as well as opportunity for sellers that want to capitalize on the market and have maybe the guts to go on the market now instead of trying to outthink it? What are you advising people right now post-Labor Day?
I think for sellers, the opportunity is ripe right now. I mean, I really do. The inventory is so low. Sellers, now is the time. Get the house on the market. You're going to still, you're going to still have all that appreciated value that you're going to be able to capitalize on. There's still going to be, if there's multiple offers, there's still going to be waiving of these contingencies. So for sellers, definitely get your home listed. If you're considering it, don't wait. For buyers, don't give up. It's a process, but your house is out there, and you just have to keep trying. And the thing is, with the interest rates, you just have to. The interest rates are going to be what they are. You can continue to rent if you're currently renting, and the rents are going to continue to go up, and you're going to be paying somebody else's mortgage and insurance and taxes. Or you can just continue this process, writing offers, getting your offers in as best and as strong as you possibly can to your comfort level. And eventually you're going to get your offer accepted, especially if you work with me. But I'm just saying that.
But the reason people get their offer accepted working with you is you tell them what they may not want to hear, and you tell them what it's going to take to get the house. And that's what the best agents do. A good agent tells people what they think they want to hear, so they'll hire them or have a relationship, versus telling them the hard news so they can get the house or get their home sold.
Correct.
So all of that, be careful with these headlines. Looks like there's a lot of opportunity in the marketplace here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the latest off MLS market study and what that means for people. This is Tool Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We've been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized, local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents, and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor. Because this isn't a transaction to us. It's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
Welcome back to Tool Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacey Mitchell. We've got Gabe behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group with RE/MAX Main Line, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're streaming live every week on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. So the new MLS listed home study has come out from Bright MLS. So Bright MLS is our local MLS here. It covers D.C., Baltimore, Virginia, South Jersey, and the greater Philadelphia area. And we have a little more than 100,000 different subscribers on the platform. And the short of it is, this is the second year in a row they've done this report. And Bright is the second largest MLS in the country. And according to their study, they're showing that homes listed on its platform sold for more and faster than homes sold off the MLS. So the new study updates the previous one last year, which found that on average homes sell for about 17% more than off MLS properties. And what they found this year was that it's that with little market prep, homes are selling quickly, and there's a clear benefit to listing. And the number that came out this year was, I want to say 13% is what they found. The on-MLS property sold for 13% more over the past 12 months, which put an additional $45,000 in sellers' pockets.
Wow.
What do you think about this, Stace?
It's a big number.
That's more than most people make in a year.
Right. That's a big number. So, who's going to argue that it's not good to have your house listed on the MLS? I know we talk about this a lot in-house because we look for sale by owner opportunities for our clients, and we often wonder, why are they doing it, especially in this market, when they could, sellers that choose to do for sale by owner, do they really understand the magnitude of the process that they're getting themselves involved in? Typically, they don't. So it's really difficult to go through the process without representation. But that being said, these are opportunities for buyers, if we are looking for sale by owner opportunities. And there's other reasons why people tend to list off the MLS. But that's leaving so much money off the table. The table. Yeah, it's a lot of money. You're going to be able to capture and hit more people when it's listed on the MLS. And this just solidifies, the opportunity to list with an agent. For me, it just says listing with an agent, you're going to have a better opportunity.
A competent agent, I would argue.
Yes.
And I only say that because there are a lot of amateurs out there in this business, unfortunately. So the data is pretty clear. Yes. So then what happens in this article, and this is where I have an issue, is the people come out and try to shoot holes in the whole report. Mm-hmm. So there's this guy, Rob Han of 7DS Associates. He critiqued the first off MLS study last year for overstating its conclusion. And then here's his response. Tell me what you think about this. Really, the only conclusion one can actually draw from that data is that on MLS homes have a higher median sale price compared to off MLS homes. But consider so that's exactly what the report's supposed to show. So way to go, Rob. Thank you, Captain Obvious. And then they say consider the possible reasons. Seller may do an off MLS for a rundown handyman special home. Even that property would sell for more if you took it to the MLS. There's no question in my mind.
100%.
Investors might sell their properties off MLS for a variety of reasons. The wealthy tend to use an agent, which means on MLS. I mean,
What does that mean?
Well, that's my point. Is that I mean, this is all kind of nonsense to me. And then he goes on to say the ultimate sale price tells us nothing about performance of one method of marketing over another. And he suggested using other data sets such as Compass and Zillow data to compare list to sales price ratios to see whether marketing a property on the MLS actually caused higher sale prices rather than just being correlated. Bright's new study does not do this. That's what he comes out and says. And I just look at that and I'm thinking to myself, well, you can say whatever you like here. They either sell for more or they don't. Like the price is the price. So
They sell for more.
do you take any validity in this?
Not in what he says. But it cracks me up when he said it's about price points. I mean, on our MLS, there's every price point possible.
What's the lowest priced home you sold?
80,000? No, 72,000.
$41,000. So I mean,
Yeah,
and I'm
72,000.
clear they would have gotten less if they didn't put it on the market. So that I think that's just a bunch of nonsense coming from him.
Yes.
Then a former Rex data scientist and a consultant for Rex, his name's Will Freed, he told Inman that the study failed to control for several important confounding variables, and that may explain why homes are sold on Bright tend to sell more than FSBO listings that are sold off MLS. He mentioned the compliance with the NAR rule to force them to offer a commission to a buyer's agent that could lead to a higher sales price versus the listing agent kind of taking that off the price. Even if he does that, you're talking about anywhere 2 to 3%. You're still at 10% north.
Right.
So it doesn't hold weight for me.
Right.
It's just simple math.
Yep.
And then he goes on to say data collected by Rex shows that these buyer agent commissions tend to cluster around the going rates in the metro area. In particular, over 90% of sellers in both Philadelphia and D.C. offer a commission of at least a going rate of 2.5, while only around 0.5% of sellers in these metro areas offer a commission below 2.5. So, I mean, what do you take these comments as? Because I look at it as being very short-sighted personally.
Yeah, definitely short-sighted. And then he goes on to say that the for sale by owner sellers are under no obligation to offer a preset buyer's agent commission. Yes, and that's, I get that. I understand that. But most likely they're going to be paying that anyway, because it's going to be presented in an offer to them. If I were working with a buyer and we were going to put an offer in on a for sale by owner, then we would present that the buyer's agent commission be included in with the purchase price or within the offer. So the sellers would most likely be paying that anyway. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it is definitely short-sighted. And they're just trying to tear this information down. But it's the data is there. It's pretty obvious that if your home is listed on the MLS, you're going to get, on average, $45,000 more than if you were trying to sell it off market.
Well, and what happens here too is that they go and they try to poke holes in all these things, and the reality is that I've seen people do this where they cost themselves money, and I'm like, man, I can't believe they sold the home for that much. I could have protected their equity. And, this guy Freed goes on to say that the biggest critique around an optional NAR rule that allows MLS to require brokers to display MLS and non-MLS listings separately, this is just the same thing they've been complaining about since their lawsuit in 2021. So I don't hold a lot of water in this. I find this, some of the commentary here to be a little silly, to be very honest with you. And what I know is this data has been right 2 years in a row. Yep. 13 and 17% more. That's a lot of money to people. And they talk about how expensive it is. Well, of course it's more expensive. I would argue you get what you pay for. And I've seen discount brokerages like Rex cost their people money because of lack of knowledge, poor negotiation skills, or just bad mistakes that get made during the transaction. So in my view, I don't really see how you can try to poke holes in this all you want. And I want to read you some of the comments here too, because I think this is pretty interesting. I mean, it's people looking to grind an axe with somebody. I mean, the data is the data. So there's a couple comments on the article here. The commission has nothing to do with why houses sell for more. Rex can say all they want. They've already proven their value. What do you think about that, Stace?
They've already proven their value. Yes.
Which would be 0.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't. Is Rex still in business? They're not.
I believe they went out of business.
I believe so too. So it's interesting to me that they quoted him, the ex-Rex employee.
Well, no, he has another role with them now.
Okay.
Hold on here. No, so they didn't go out of business, but all the staffers. Remember there was that news in April or May that like everything was just going wrong for them. It looks like that's kind of they laid off a lot of their employees back in May.
Okay.
So even though they say they're still operating, it's a skeleton crew over there.
Mm-hmm.
So. Again, with that, I think you look at these things. I want to get back to these comments here. So the second one is the ability of many home buyers to search for homes through online services is a direct benefit of the MLS system. The MLS system syndicates listings to portals like Zillow, which do not filter properties based on commissions.
Mm-hmm.
Average monthly portal visits exceed 559 million, yet there are only 331 million U.S. citizens. Listings are not concealed, nor is there massive steering. If a buyer asks an agent to view a home and they refuse, the client will find another agent. I could not agree with this more. I think that's really well said.
Yes, I totally agree. I have so many clients that utilize the MLS system. Once I set up a portal for them, it seems to me that, and it's in real time. And this is where all the big websites pull their data from. So whatever you see on Zillow is going to be pulled directly from the MLS, but it's probably going to be 24 to 48 hours delayed. So the MLS system is real time. And it's definitely user-friendly, and my clients love it.
Well, I agree with that. And on top of it, I mean, it's, there are some, I get why people have an issue of like holding all the data in because this was a problem. But I mean, you can go find out anything you want about any home that's listed right now.
Yep.
Now, here's another one. I'll tell you why this study is worthless. Many off-market sales are sold to iBuyers. Most iBuyers won't buy homes for more than $500,000, and the MLS has many homes selling for more than $500,000. So it's just that overall MLS homes are more expensive homes. If I sell $1 million homes in Midtown Atlanta and another agent sells low-priced homes out in the boonies, I'm sure you're not going to claim to a seller out in the boonies that I can sell the home for so much more than the other agent. It would be a ridiculous claim. The authors of this study should be ashamed of putting out such garbage. What do you think about that?
I think it's all relative in the areas. I don't know why they're comparing to a home in Midtown Atlanta to a home in the boonies. I mean, they should be priced according to the market.
I would argue that the homes sold off market in cities and places like that, they probably even lose more money.
Lose more, yes.
Because everyone wants to live there, and
Yep.
I've seen homes sell off market. We have an agent that's working on an off market sale now, and he's telling me what price the seller's willing to take. He's working with the buyer, and it's it's clear to me that there's an opportunity to get more there, and the seller not having representation is hurting him. So I've seen this in real life. I've tried listing, for sale by owners. They don't list with us. I see what they sell for, and I just want to shake them and be like, I'm sorry you lost all this money not listening to me.
Right.
I tried. And some people, they do this because they want the sure thing, and they get a little nervous, probably more than anything else. That's at least my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I don't see how there's a twist to this or anything else. To me, it's, hey, the number's down a little bit. No surprise, because buyers were so desperate this past year. Mm-hmm. They were actively searching out off MLS properties, and they were still willing to pay a premium.
Yes.
I don't see that continuing the rest of this year and into 2023.
Probably not. I think, buyers have gotten a little more savvy, and agents also, and that's what we do, look for off-market opportunities, because we would like to take advantage of those opportunities if
that's
possible.
The job is to find the buyer house.
Exactly, right. But I also think that, this study, and it shows how much more the sellers can get out of their properties if they do list on the MLS. So I don't think there's any denying these numbers. I don't think there's any way to, discredit this study. I think it's important that sellers are aware of this information, and that's what we do. We educate our sellers, and we bring them the knowledge. because they might not have any idea. A lot of people talk about, the fees involved with listing or having representation, but for the most part, you should have representation one way or another. Whether are you going to have a legal team behind you to read the documents, or
that may cost more than an agent, by the way.
There you go, bingo.
So we're both in agreement. This study's valid. 7DS and Rex can go shove it. They don't seem like they know what they're talking about here. And it's just this is, if you're not able to defend your profession, then maybe you shouldn't be in it. And I look at this as something that realtors need to get clear on this, especially as the market shifts.
Yep.
There's a lot of lost skills of realizing the follow-up, the objection handling, all these things that agents need to be, and how to negotiate, how to finesse a negotiation.
Yes.
Submitting offers when you don't think it's going to get accepted and seeing what happens, which is a big win in a lot of cases. So there's a lot of ways that this can really help. So to me, it's just as important that folks look at that and understand that this is a study that can be used as a tool, and you can help people with it, because if someone's telling me I can get 10% more net, even if you go along with this theory here that the buyer's making a percentage, they're giving up the one side, 10% is 10%. And that's a lot of money on someone's biggest investment.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about an Realtor.com survey about how transactions are going right now. I found this to be very interesting. This is Tool Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now, here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestatescholarshipprogram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Mortgage America Equal Housing Lender, MLS 128501.
All right. We are back on Tool Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacey Mitchell. Gabe's behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group with RE/MAX Mainline, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're streaming live every week on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. So, our final segment here. Remember when you could negotiate a sale, Stacey? Mm-hmm. This seems like a foreign concept to a lot of people. So
right.
Our friends at Broke Agent Media, they put together a really great article talking about this Realtor.com survey that came out the end of the month. So just about a little less than a week ago, that home sellers are now contending with slowing real estate fundamentals, or as I'm going to call it again, This is not slowdown. This is normalization. This is a normal market. And what they talked about here, and there's a lot of results from this survey. So there was 3,000 homeowners who responded to the nationwide survey. 20% of these people sold their home in the past 12 months, which is actually a large number because that's not the turn we see. And within the pool of seller respondents, 34% sold between June and August of 2022, and 23% sold between February and May of 2022. And the remainder sold in the 6 months prior to February, so 2021, 2022. I guess that'd be like October to February. And the responses show a return to normalcy in the market through negotiations, inspections, and repair. So I found this to be very interesting. So I want to hit on each one of these here with you and get your feedback on this and tell us what you see happening. So first point is negotiations are taking place. Obviously, we know the market is, I'm not going to say cooling, I'm going to say decelerating. And I'm very particular with the language I'm using here because this is not a cold market. I've been through cold markets. You want to see a cold market, jump in the DeLorean and go back to 2008, 2009, 2010. That's a cold market. So the big takeaway I saw here is sellers can no longer expect several all-cash over-asking bids with no contingencies and no negotiations. What are you seeing right now? And then we'll go over the data.
Well, again, each home is different, right? Each home is very, very different. There still are those. I was involved in an offer. You know, there's 4 offers in, no contingencies on most of them. Right now, we're waiting to hear back, but they were potential to have up to 8 offers. But that being said, there's other opportunity for negotiation. So, negotiating sales price. Maybe you put an offer depending on the home, depending on how long it's been on the offer. Maybe you come in slightly below and just see what happens. See if the if the seller's going to counter. That's what you want. You hope for that. If not, you can go in and asking, but you can get your contingencies. You can get inspections, home inspection, pest, radon. You don't have to even negotiate a time. You can still do the standard 10 days turnaround. And maybe you don't have to offer a certain amount of money to cover, X amount of dollars in any repairs that might be discovered.
Yep.
So get back to those contingencies. Again, it's based on the home. Sellers now also, most deals are financed. You're not going to have maybe that, 3 cash offers on one home, which might not even be cash offers. You're just waiving the mortgage contingency. So it doesn't necessarily mean cash offer. Waiving a mortgage contingency still allows the sellers or the buyers to get financing.
Yep.
So a lot of people don't understand that. Even listing agents don't understand that. Well, it's a cash offer. Well, not necessarily. It's waiving of the mortgage contingency, which means the buyers are still able to get financing if they so choose. But that would be waiving of any appraisal contingency if you do waive and come in as a cash offer. But you don't have to do that anymore. Even if you are getting financing, you can just have your mortgage contingency. And if you have to negotiate an appraisal deficit, then again, we're back to renegotiating. So I think it's great. I really do. I think that it makes it more fair on each side. So the buyers, it gives them a more sense of control. It gives them, hey, I actually have a say in this. I can kind of craft my offer. So I think it's great.
So let me, and Stacey, you're right on. I love what you're seeing is accurate of what the survey responds to here, because it just shows you're a great agent and know what you're talking about and give great advice. It also shows that what's happening in our market is happening at a national level. So over the past year, according to the survey, 92% of all the recent sellers accepted some buyer-friendly terms. This included 41% accepting contingencies in the contract, some contingencies, whether it's appraisal, inspection, home sale, financing, etc. 32% dropped the price because the home didn't meet the appraisal. 32% paid some or all of the buyer's closing costs.
Wow.
30% had to be flexible on the ideal timeline for closing. 29% paid for repairs to the home after the appraisal, and 28% were not able to rent the home back after close despite asking to. So, I mean, that's a major
Wow.
shift in what we saw in the market. And this goes back to literally like last October, so about the last 12 months.
Right.
And I would say we're seeing that a little more. And if you look at the percentages there, I mean, obviously it's accepting some contingencies, dropping the price because of an appraisal. You know, a lot of financial stuff here, probably more so than anything else. So that's encouraging.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing. And I think that, and this is why it's really important that the sellers are educated on these possibilities of these things happening, because it is more normal that it's normal to negotiate and to renegotiate.
It's abnormal to see an all cash waived agreement. That's abnormal, and,
Right.
and I can speak to that from decades of experience. I know you can too, because you sold hundreds of homes. So here's point number 2. During the height of the competitive market, waiving home inspections seemed to be a key tactic in making an offer stand out. According to the survey, the real data, 95% of buyers requested a home inspection in the past month. And they weren't just informational purposes only, which doesn't mean anything for everyone watching, by the way. It doesn't mean anything in Pennsylvania. Hank Lerner, the PAR attorney, has said this in one of his articles on PAR Just Listed. So here's some of the numbers from recent sales compared to 6 to 12 months ago. And then, Stacey, I'll have you kind of chime in here. 67% of buyers requested repairs after home inspections compared to 31% for homes that sold 6 to 12 months ago. Are you feeling the same thing?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
The number of sellers who refused to pay for repairs dropped from 8% to 0.
Wow. Okay.
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
In addition to following through with inspection negotiations, many homeowners opted to make some updates before listing. 95% of sellers in the last month made updates prior to listing compared to 71% 6 to 12 months ago. And the average amount sellers spent on repairs before listing this past month was over $14,000.
Wow. So see, there's concessions.
More concessions than people think.
Yes.
And you know, I think what happens here is this. There's these, and this is my observation. There's no data, and tell me what if you think I'm right or wrong or crazy. Any of the three will be fine. Those homes that it's like the perfect home you can live in 20 years, that's in the street, in the right subdivision, all those are the homes that are the most competitive. That's not the majority of the homes that transact, because people don't move out of those homes that often.
Right.
The bulk of the market is that like $300,000 to $550,000, $600,000 home. And I'm clear that's what they're talking about here.
Totally. That is exactly what they're talking about. The homes that aren't picture perfect ready, you know, they're not totally updated and renovated in all the modern HGTV colors. This is what we're dealing with, and this is normal.
Yep.
This is totally normal. And I love that the buyers do have, you know, they're getting more of what they're asking here. I think it's great. It's very positive news for buyers at this point. I think I'm going to start sharing a lot of this information with them. But again, I do believe it's based on each particular situation. You have to know what you're up against.
Love it. Okay, so it sounds like we're in lockstep of on the ground versus the survey, because the survey is only 3,000 people. I think you have to just kind of be aware of that. Last point here, or second to last, we'll call it last and a half. Homes are continuing to sell quickly. 92% of sellers who sold in the past month stated they were satisfied with the outcome of the sale of their home. That's a slight drop from 98% who sold 6 to 12 months ago. And where they look at satisfaction, it was the sale price, the timeline, the repairs they had to make, number of offers they had, number of buyers that toured the home, and concessions that they had to make.
It's still pretty high.
You're over 90%. That's tremendous.
They're happy. Their sellers are happy.
For sure. And then if you look at the manager of the economic research at Realtor.com, George Ratu, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Our survey shows that the overheated housing market of the past 2 years, I like this verbiage here, overheated housing market. That's a really good way to look at it, which predominantly favored sellers, is beginning to regain a sense of normalcy, which is welcome news for home buyers. And a lot of those home buyers also are the sellers that have to go find a home, which people always forget about.
Correct.
I think that's a big hesitation point in the marketplace here.
Yes.
And at the same time, even as we are seeing a shift toward a more buyer-friendly, I don't think this market's that buyer-friendly. It's still a seller's market, but it's more buyer-friendly. It's worth noting that the majority of recent sellers are still satisfied with the outcome of the sale of the home. So the question our friends at Broke Agent Media ask, and this is a great play to leave it here. We got a couple minutes here. Have you brushed up on your negotiating skills? So, Stacey, what have you done to sharpen the axe on negotiating?
Well, I just have to know the information inside and upside down and all the way around. And I think that knowing all the information and what buyers, what's reasonable asks, and going after that, I think it's really important to know how to negotiate with the other side also.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had mentioned earlier, there's a lot of really bad agents out there. There are. It's the truth.
It's the history of real estate.
And, unfortunately, when you're working in that situation, it can be much more difficult. But if you're working with another really good agent and they understand the process of negotiations, it is a give and take. You're not going to ask for the whole pie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have to, each side has to feel like they're winning, that they come out at least almost whole. And I think that's a win for everybody.
So what are some of the keys to negotiation that you find? I mean, I'll give you my take in a second here, but you've closed hundreds of sales in a very short period of time. What are some of the keys that, because you've experienced all this stuff. When you get to the amount of volume that you've done, it's not like you've seen enough to be able to articulate this.
The keys to negotiation.
What are some of like the things that you've done? I mean, you talked about like everybody winning. So like, I mean.
So as far as for inspection reports,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I think it's really important to definitely educate the buyers on what to expect when it comes to an inspection report so that they have a realistic view of what the inspection report is going to show. And with that information, you pick off a couple of really important things, and that's your ask. You go back to the listing agent. Like, again, don't ask for the whole pie, ask for some of it, and then you'll probably get that.
Love that. I'm going to give you a couple quick ones.
Yep.
Communicate effectively and be responsive.
Yep.
Be nice to the other side. Don't make it personal. And probably most importantly, be professional.
Yes. Never make it personal. It's not personal at all.
We're getting played off here like the Oscars. So if you want to follow Stacey, she's on Instagram at the #2 Mitchco. You can follow me at Tom Toole 3RD at Tom Toole 3rd. We're streaming live every week, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Just make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get alerts every time we go live. That's it for this week's episode of Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.